To everybody out there who knows me, thank you so much for coming. It's really a great thing to have everybody there to support me through this. It's a big deal. Thank you very much. For everybody who doesn't know me, my name is Steve Gunderson. My journey to Christ, that started pretty much when the day I was born. I didn't understand how long the road would be to get there. It actually started with a pretty big loss that happened in my life when my brother was murdered. He was killed, and instead of turning to the one source that could really comfort me or get me through it, I turned my back away from it. When he died, I questioned what kind of God would allow this to happen to somebody. What kind of God would take someone like that from the earth? And I blamed him. And I stopped believing. I said, who's this God guy? Who lets that happen? I stopped believing. I turned my back. And that's how I lived my life for the past 6 years. By myself, for myself. My life had been pretty lonely, I guess, for these past 6 years. And about 5 months ago, I experienced yet another great personal loss. And I was pretty close to losing my mind. I was at my wit's end. I didn't know where to go, what to do, and I was just weak. And in that moment of weakness, I heard the Lord speak to me. But the funny thing is, I didn't even know it was Him at the time. I was actually invited to Reimage Church by a colleague and friend of mine, Rose Pate. Rose Pate, you're awesome. I'm sorry, she needs to understand how important she is as a part of this. And I accepted, and I decided I'm gonna come to Reimage Church. I'm gonna try it out, see how it goes. The first time I came into Reimage Church was on Sunday, October 13th, 2013. I won't ever forget it because I walked in there and I didn't know anybody, but I met a couple good people. Jay and Josh in the sound booth made it a point to come over and say hi to me. And I didn't really know where I was gonna go or how it was gonna be, and we started to sing. And the first song we sang was Still Standing. And during that song, the song was enough by itself, because during that song, I realized that I'm still standing, I'm still very much alive, and there's still hope, there's still something more. And I started to cry. I started to cry when I heard that song because it touched me. And I realized I can stand, I can walk, and I'm okay. And it was great in itself. It was great and it was powerful. And I haven't even heard the sermon yet. The sermon that Pastor John was preaching that Sunday was part 2 of his Walking Dead series. And I remember during the introduction, it has all this crazy stuff going on in The Walking Dead, and I had just done watching all the seasons. And I'm thinking, The Walking Dead in church? It was exactly how it started, and I said, okay, let's give it a shot. And part 2 of the series was becoming the undead, becoming spiritually dead inside. And it couldn't have been any sweeter to hear this sermon. There was a reason I walked through that door, and Pastor John actually came up to me and said, I'm designing this exactly for you, Steve, so that way you can change, and this is gonna affect you in a different way. Like, it's not gonna affect anybody else. Yeah, he didn't really do that, but that's how I felt that day coming into the service. It spoke directly to me, and it filled my soul with hope in myself for life again. It made me know that I have experienced loss, but I wasn't lost, and that no matter how far away spiritually I got from God, I could always come back. Not only could I come back, I'd be welcome with open arms with Him guiding me to Him, as long as I kept Him in my sights. And I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know that there was still hope. And this sermon is what gave me that hope. That day, it was like a fire was lit inside me, and I had a burning in my soul to want to know more, and just that hunger to say, well, how could I have been so far away from the point? When I got home that morning after church, I took a long look in the mirror and saw the broken wreck that I had become for living a life for myself and not for Jesus. I blamed everybody other than myself, including God, for all of my problems, for all of my shortcomings, and for every failure I had in my life. But now, I had the clarity to see that I destroyed myself in almost every one of my relationships, including those with family and friends, with my selfishness, with my lies, with my broken promises, with my arrogance, with my games, and most importantly, with me turning away from God. My life has always been about me. And for anybody who knows me, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. But for once, I could finally see that it's not about me or anything that I do or the choices that I make if they're not made without having the Lord as first in my life. And accepting Jesus as my Lord and Savior, I'm ready to make that commitment and accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior and trust in Him totally without reserve.